All right, if you clicked on this video, you wanted to check out the radio bike company Zuma 16, which is an awesome 16-inch mountain bike with mechanical disc brakes and chain guide. It's a single speed, and you probably just wanted a good review on it. However, I will also have an unboxing and how to assemble this properly if you were adept at just a little bit of mechanical skills, not too much. Doesn't take too much. So I think literally the hardest part about putting this bike together was cutting the seat post because I had to shorten it all the way for my kiddo so he could stand over it. However, other than that, this is an awesome little bike. Really happy that I got it for my kiddo. So I'm going to roll through this video. Stick with me. Quick disclaimer, guys, I have not made a YouTube video in quite a while, so it's a little rough. I'm going to try to edit it perfectly for you guys. However, going through building this bike and everything, you are going to need some Allen wrenches, 15-inch wrench for the pedals and the hub set, and you're going to need some wire cutters for the brake line to make sure you can crimp that properly, and some sort of pliers for the end of that, which we'll get into in a moment. It took some figuring out how to get all the parts assembled properly, but I will try to make it clear as possible for you guys. Might throw in some voiceover. Thanks for joining.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise.
Everything was packaged really well, so I'm cutting all the zip ties and taking all the cardboard off. They did an awesome job packaging it, so I'm not really worried about any damage, and I haven't seen any yet. It's the bike seat and post. Okay, it's completely out of the box right now, and I've taken all the pieces out. So it is packaged really well, so you can tell it's been packaged for international travel, and all the hubs and even the forks had, pieces of plastic protecting them all, like this piece went in there. And obviously they're there on the wheel hubs and all the bars, everything's uncovered. So as far as looking at the rest of the packaging, you just got your chain guard, that's going to go on. Small pedals, which is really cool because I've seen some 16-inch bikes that still had like full-size pedals, at least the ones you can kind of get at Walmart or really cheaper ones. So having a smaller pedal is really nice. And this is all the hardware for the reflectors, I'm guessing, and this is hardware here for the front brake caliper, which has to be put on. The rear one is already ready to go, as you can see. So I'm going to open up the instruction booklet, breeze through it real quick, and then we will get this fully assembled, so sit tight. Oh, something else worth noting is I'm actually really happy with how the seat is. It just feels like really nice, kind of like a leather, or like probably a fake leather, but it feels really good. It looked cheap, like from the pictures online, so I couldn't tell if it was plastic or not, but I'm actually really happy with the stitching and the quality of it. It feels really good. And also some interesting things to note. Maybe in other countries they have, this old style kind of like clamp-on brakes that, clip here, which I cannot think of the name of it right now, but there's a hole for it there and in the front fork, which is interesting that is even still there, even though this comes with the mechanical discs. But that's cool to note that. Also, I am trying to figure out where this little guy goes, because the reflector, this is so tiny. Typically they go on the stem post, but it is way too tiny to go there. So I'm not sure if it's supposed to clamp on to there or what. That's it's just a bit strange and throwing me for a loop right now. And yeah, obviously this is a kid's bike, so I want all the reflectors on there. So, I'm going to do that. If this was a grown-up's bike, you'd probably take the reflectors off. It's just something you do when you get older, but to protect our kiddos, put them on. So for me, the first thing I'm doing is I'm just going to kind of size it up next to his old bike, which is a KTM, which I think is made by Strider, but it got it from the KTM website a few years ago. And it's at the max settings as far as seat and handlebars. So looking at the new bike, sorry about that, that's my fridge. I'm going to lower this here these spacers, you know, if you're not familiar with this, it's supposed to help you set the height of the headset and the stem here. So I'm going to lower that to the bottom just to kind of, it'll still be 3 inches taller. And then the seat post looks like the lowest setting on this seat post is already kind of like the highest setting there. So that's perfect because he's already 3 or 4 inches above that. So I just wanted to make sure I could size that stuff up before moving to the brake caliper, which I'm going to do last and show you guys how to do it. Okay, so I've ran into my first issue that I wanted to go over with you all. I was anticipating this. The stem post is way too long. So that's the farthest down it will go, which is still like probably 6 to 8 inches too tall. So what I'm going to have to do is make a note of this. I'm going to measure it up. I'll show you guys, and then I'm going to cut it just so it goes down all the way. Okay, this is going to be really hard to see on camera, but right here it says minimum insert, which is minimum insert depth, and they've already got that lined out for you the whole way. So that is actually probably the depth to cut the tube at, because I measured it. It's about 4¼ inches of what's sticking out, and what should be cut is almost just about equal. That's about 4 inches. So I'm going to cut that to make sure it fits properly. Oh, check out that view. So 10 minutes later, and I'm not proud of my work here, but I had to use that shitty saw because that's like all I got, but it works. And now we're exactly where we need to be. So yeah, just cut it on that line, and the seat should be able to go all the way down and still have room for the reflector. As far as this next step, you just loosen the Allen bolt on top, pull this out, remove the spacers, and then you can put one small spacer back at the bottom if you'd like. I'm going to size it out here. Put this back on, put the spacers on top, and then you put this back on here. Sorry about that. And that's getting it lower to the position I want, so hang on a sec. Okay, that's exactly where I wanted it. Now, only issue is I did notice that this headset may be missing one of the Allen bolts, or maybe it's one of the ones that came in this kit. However, I think those might actually be for the brake caliper, so I don't know if I'm going to have to search the box or run to the hardware store, but let me get the bars mounted up and finish sizing it out before we mount the brake caliper here. All right, guys, stick with me here. I probably do have to go find that bolt. I can't seem to find it, or it's lost in this stupid shag rug thing. I'll double check that in a second. But as far as getting the caliper mounted, if you've never done this before, you'll see in here the 2 pads. That's going to just kind of like obviously go there on the disc, push this up into place, and then put the 2 Allen bolts in there. Okay, as far as wiring up the brake, you just push this top piece. It just like loosens like this. You want to push the line through there. And you can use your Allen wrench and loosen this arm. Because what we're going to do, this arm is, you know, the attenuator, so to speak. I'm not a bike mechanic by any means. However, I can figure this out. And you see how this rear one is mounted in here? You would just want to get it to where the tension is tight. And when you pull the handle, obviously it's going to attenuate. So let me get this mounted up real quick. May just take a little bit of playing on your part if you haven't done this before, and also on mine. And once you kind of get it there, that's pretty much that. Then let's go figure out where we're going to find this extra missing bolt. And I'll pull up the rug just to make sure, but I kind of dusted it off pretty good and I couldn't seem to find it. So that's one thing to take note of. If you do take one of these in on delivery, make sure all the bolts are there. All right, the last thing you're going to do, I have to change the camera mode here. See, when you cut the brake line, see how this is pressed, like squeezed shut? Well, you got that here. So you're going to cut the line. Once you get it dialed in, put this bead on the end, and then you're going to crimp it or pinch it with some sort of pliers really tightly so it's on there like that. And pro tip, pull off the little warning stickers if you don't want them on there. Kind of just an eyesore anyways. And just use some rubbing alcohol microfiber towel, and you can clean it up pretty easily. Okay, one more little pro tip. I've got the bar pretty much where I want it as far as angle, like direction, like kind of tilted back towards the rider a bit, except the brakes are like completely straight. You technically want them down at an angle this way. So I'm going to just loosen them up here with the Allen and then tilt them both down a little bit. So as you can see, that one's kind of pointed up. Now this one is pointed down. That's how you want it, just the natural curve and flow of the hand. If you've never done this before, especially for a young rider, it's going to be a lot more natural for them to be grabbing it when it's tilted down, not straight up like that. So something really nice that they did was label the pedals for you guys. So if you're unfamiliar with bike pedals, the threading is directional. So typically one's going to go in counterclockwise and one goes in clockwise, but however, these are just labeled, so you don't really have to worry about trying to figure that out on your own. But that being said, just to kind of give you guys some insight, the drive side will always go in clockwise, and then on the, I guess you'll say, left or passenger side, it's counterclockwise. So when you're threading it in, just be sure to turn this one. Sorry, I needed two hands there for a second, so turn that one to the left. And these are typically 15 millimeter, so if you're wondering, everything else on this bike is Allen wrenches. So just get a standard kind of like Allen key that has all the sizes and you're good. And put this other side on, and just so you know, this instruction booklet was pretty much useless. There was really nothing in here on how to do the brakes. I mean, they show you how to do the old style brakes in there, which this bike doesn't have, like I mentioned before, and the figure with the caliper doesn't show anything. So that, and next to not having any instructions on this, am I supposed to zip tie this on there? There's no bolts for it. There's like 3 holes. So the rest of this is going to be just throwing these on the spokes, which is pretty easy to do. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. Okay, I figured out this next part for chain guard. The 2 pieces that have these little like nipples on them go in there. This one's gonna go here or at the back, because you'll see the sizing. This is gonna go around the lower bar. Sorry, that's gonna go around the lower bar. So the piece is gonna go around there, and then there's that third piece in the back. So let me kind of mock it up, guys. All right, so you got these 3 rubber pieces that you're gonna wrap around each bar like that, and then put the plastic clip over it. So see, this is just mocked up in there, but I need to put this piece around the bar like that, and then the plastic clip goes over it. It just keeps it from sliding. It's gonna have a tighter clamp on. Okay, some more pro tips. When you're putting the chain guide on, you see the circle there? You pop the little clip in the circle and then slide it to the left, so you have the play to line it up. Do not put the rear one on yet. I have the rear one just off, so I can move the whole assembly back and forth. So I could line up these 2 first, because there's not much play. Like, you have to get this correctly, that way the chain doesn't touch it, and then you can do this this smaller one last, that goes on the last arm. So I've got it aligned where the screwdriver point, like the Phillips head, is on this side, and then the other Phillips head is here. Take a look, guys, on that side. So that way you can reach it, because if you flip this upside down, you won't be able to reach the Phillips head. On the tire side, you'd probably have to take the tire off, which is just like doesn't make any sense. So that's how you do this portion of it. Okay, so I came back to revisit the rear deflector. This is so tiny. Really, the only place it can go is like on that little arm right there, because it won't fit on the seat stem or the seat post and everything. And there's nowhere to put it, obviously, in the seat. It's just not the same size. So I'm going to try this, because I don't have any other parts to use right now, but let's see. I settled on putting it down there for now, just so his mom doesn't kill me. It's got to have something, you know how parents can be. Okay, just a quick little review here. So it is obviously the 16-inch radio bike and mechanical brakes. I mean, all the specs are going to be listed down below and on the website. So we were shopping around. I did look at a 20-inch Specialized bike that we got, but it was just a hair too big. I want to say it was probably like 3 or 4 inches too tall for him, even in the seat in the lowest setting. We were just riding this around. He got used to the brakes right away, but we took the pedals off because he wanted them off, so I just kind of zip tied it on this other side. However, some finishing touches, as you saw. The brake is done. All the levers work. Everything is great. So for the money, this is an awesome bike. I figured all this stuff out with the chain guide, or chain protector, I should say, so your kiddos don't get it caught up in their pants or their shoes or getting dirty. Put the reflector down there. Hang on a second, let me flip this around. So yeah, the other bike we had was the orange P.1 Specialized 20 dirt jumper, which was a really cool bike, just like I said, too big. And my kiddo's 5. He's about 38 pounds. I'm gonna say 36, 38 pounds, but he just wasn't quite tall enough. This bike though is really good. Other than the wire, like the brake wire is not running through the frame, it's still a pretty clean design. I mentioned the seat's really nice, feels good to the touch, very soft, and the quality of everything else is pretty good. The bike's not insanely heavy, but for a 16-inch bike that, you know, he can kind of run around with a balance bike, and then when I'm ready to get the pedals thrown on, I feel like it's a good option. I mean, I was looking at obviously Guardians and anything cheap on Amazon and other 16-inch bikes like Commensal, and I think I even looked at Kids Ride Shotgun, which was like a 14-inch. However, this bike, for the money and everything else that it comes with, it was just perfect, like bang for the buck. I think we picked this up for $450 on a Black Friday sale, so it's pretty good, pretty decent, and we're gonna get him on the trails soon with it because I mountain bike a ton and I want him to be there with me as he grows older. So I ended up putting all this down here. As you can see, chain guide's connected like that. I just had that zip tied up, like I said. So yeah, it's a great little bike. Highly recommend it. And yeah, I'm excited to get him on the trail with it. Just hope this was a helpful review. I haven't made a YouTube video in a while, so that was fun. But yeah, it's a great bike. Stick around for more. Subscribe, like this content, leave a comment.